Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Haan. I actually have two hats at Singularity University. One is the Managing Director of our Global Solutions Program, and the other is the Faculty Chair of our Global Grand Challenge curriculum. And that's what I'm going to be talking about with you today, is how can we leverage exponential technology to solve humanity's grand challenges. At Singularity University, we divide the Global Grand Challenges into 6 specific ones in 2 main categories. What we call resource needs, which includes environment, energy, water, food, shelter, and space, and societal needs, security, governance, health, learning, disaster resilience, and poverty. You're going to be hearing specific details on each one of these in other parts of the program, so I'm not going to go into each one of them in detail. Rather, I'm going to take a little bit of a meta approach here. Peter Diamandis goes at great lengths to identify that there is evidence that we are living in an abundant time and we are coming into an era of abundance. He does it by looking at any number of pieces of evidence such as malaria deaths, life expectancy, illiteracy, years of education per person, infant mortality rate, and children who die before the age of 5. The evidence is very strong and very clear if you look historically that things are improving dramatically. However, reality is not quite so clean. We have a number of refugees right now. In fact, UNHCR says there are more refugees living right now than at the end of World War II. It may not feel that way to some of you, but to many people it's the reality that they live in. And refugees are just one indicator. There's structural poverty in the world that we have yet to tackle. And in fact, the World Bank, after predicting that we were going to be able to end poverty within the next few decades, retracted that when they realized actually there's structural poverty beyond the millions of people who came out of poverty in China. There's structural poverty in the world which is very difficult to tackle. And yet we have the resources to do this. We have the resources to live in an abundant world and meet our basic needs for all people. Water is one of them. The large blue dot is all water on planet Earth compared to planet Earth. The small one is fresh water. You can look at that and you could say, wow, it looks like we have little water. But in fact, the amount of water that we have access to, that we're accessing right now in terms of fresh water, is a small fraction. If you look at these bar charts, it's a small fraction of the total water. Meaning, we're waiting for a solution to unleash and access the ocean's water. And it's not just water. 1 hour of sunlight is enough for 1 year of humanity's needs. And that's just sun. Leave alone wave energy, leave alone wind energy, leave alone nuclear energy, and others. You, by now, know quite a bit about exponential trends. Of course, the whole university is based on this premise of Ray Kurzweil. This exponential trend has the effect of decreasing exponentially the price of goods and services, and it also has the effect of decreasing exponentially the costs for entrepreneurs to get into business. And we see these trends reflected in energy required to desalinate water, the cost point of photovoltaics. And it's not just the price performance of photovoltaics, but it's also the material science. A new material called perovskite is a really exciting material because not only is it more efficient, but it also is transparent. So imagine all of your skyscraper windows, your car windscreens being energy producers, energy providers. It's a whole new game changer. And one thing I'm particularly excited about, this comes from Mark Post at Maastricht University in terms of tissue engineering, producing meat through cultured means, which uses a fraction of the energy, a fraction of the land resources, a fraction of the water of the meat that we eat today. However, I'm a strong believer. I can put the math together. I can look at the resources, and I can see where we are now and where we can be in an abundant future. And I can put 2 and 2 together, and I can imagine that. But getting from here to there is a very daunting proposition. We need a zip line to get there. We have to get to abundance fast, and we have to avoid catastrophe, because if we don't, then humanity as a whole will suffer. Already this year, it's incredible. This year is the hottest month. This particular month, this last month was the hottest month on record ever since the late 1880s. And the trend is clearly there. You can call this an El Nino year and an anomaly, but in fact the trend is clearly there. And the link between climate change, the link between sea level rise is clearly there. This is Nature, March 2016. A melting Antarctica could sink the world's coastlines faster than predicted. And it's not just climate that we have to be, that is precarious for us, but it's also employment itself. The very technologies that we're celebrating, the artificial intelligence that we just heard in the previous session in this room, the robotics, are the very technologies which are challenging the workforce. And in fact, an Oxford Martin study predicts that 47% of labor globally is under threat of disappearing. And it's a question as to whether or not that will be replaced with new job opportunities or not. And if you talk to the likes of Kevin Kelly, he says yes, there'll be new jobs. If you talk to the likes of Martin Ford, he says no. So it's a big debate. What we do know is we need that zip line, because this is coming. We need a zip line to get us from here to a place where we are happy with the economic opportunity that all people have a right to have. And it's not just jobs, but it's also equality.
So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again.
What used to be fine for the monkey to receive a cucumber after giving the rock to the researcher, once that monkey saw that someone got a grape, suddenly that was no longer fine. Which raises this issue of fairness and equality. And we know that our inequality numbers are getting worse and worse globally. Is that sustainable? Is that the direction that we want to go in? My own view on this is that we should be aiming for something which is doable, and that is basic opportunity for all. Basic opportunity, and combine that with some basic minimum income. And this is being discussed by both people on the far right and on the far left of our economic spectrums, which is really interesting. Comes back to this idea of a zip line. We need to jump very quickly, not be reactive, whether it be loss of jobs, massive inequality, but be proactive to avoid the societal disruption. At no other time in human history has there been more opportunity to solve the world's biggest challenges, and at no other time has it been needed more. Not only is technology creating new opportunity through price performance, but it's also created new opportunity by bringing billions of people online. This is Facebook and Google's efforts to increase internet access for the coming several billion people who are going to be entering not only the marketplace, but the idea and innovation place as well. This is going to be a radical transition that we're going to see within the next 5 to 10 years. Every year, this group issues the Global Opportunity Report. And in fact, they're getting ready to issue their 2017 version, if this interests you. And they look at the big opportunities for solving the world's biggest challenges. In 2016, their number one was smart farming, the digital labor market, and closing the skills gap. This is also an opportunity for corporations. Back in the 1970s, John Elkington, who might even be in this room right here today, was one of the fathers of triple bottom line thinking. And this whole notion of corporate social responsibility enters into our lexicon. At this day and age, to be debating corporate social responsibility is extremely passé. Of course corporates need to be responsible. If you're not responsible, then you need to be removed from our system. But we're not talking just about corporate social responsibility. What we would like to propose here at Singularity University is exponential opportunity. Having a different mindset for corporations to see that actually the global grand challenges are the biggest opportunities, the market opportunities, the social opportunities. There are also potentially big threats if you do not address them. So John Elkington's latest book is The Breakthrough Challenge, and he works with a group called the UN Compact, and they identify and celebrate corporations which are seizing on global grand challenges as opportunities. It also creates new opportunities for entrepreneurs. The traditional entrepreneur mindset, methodical business plans, perfection mindset, risk adverse, and keeping ideas to yourself. Whereas the exponential opportunity mindset is rapid testing and iteration, new sources of funding, and uncommon collaborations. I'm going to tell you a little story. That's me on the far left with more hair. Sitting in the back of our classroom at Singularity University, I think in 2012, our energy chair, Greg Marinac, was talking about different sources of energy, and he was talking about the Peltier chip. And he said, yeah, this Peltier chip can actually generate electricity if you get a temperature differential on it. But it's not very efficient, and where do they have excess energy and excess heat and needs small amounts of energy? And I thought to myself, having lived in Africa for many, many years, people cook with cook stoves and they burn fuel. So within days, we created a prototype. And sure enough, it worked. Having gone to the hardware store and got the materials together, and we created something where we could stick on one end, stick it in heat, like a cook stove heat with burning coal or wood, and on the other end, wires to charge your cell phone. Perfect. And then we didn't execute. And within about 3 months later, we didn't patent it, we didn't actually market it or anything. We didn't go any further other than to think about it. And sure enough, 3 months later, another product came out called the Voto charger, which does exactly what we were going to do. And my message to you on this is, as you go through this summit, and you're coming up with hopefully a number of ideas as an entrepreneur or as a person working for a corporation in a division, and you're thinking, hey, this is something we could do. Don't think about it. Execute on it. Do it. I'm going to leave you with this quote from Buckminster Fuller. If success or failure on this planet and of human beings depended on how I am and what I do, how would I be and what would I do? This abundance mindset that this summit hopefully is going to be instilling in you is something that you can flip on in your head, and it changes the way you look and see the world. It does change, as Peter said, from scarcity into abundance. It treats your colleagues not as competitors, but as uncommon collaborators. And it allows you to approach the world always looking for opportunity rather than seeing failure and scarcity. And with that, I thank you very much.